Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, and then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number 1 would be A Quiet Place, number 2 would be Ready Player One, number 3 would be Blockers, number 4 would be Acrimony, and number 5 would be Black Panther. And I got 3 out of 5 of my predictions right. And before I get into the video, I'd just like to say sorry that this video is late. I just had a very important video that I wanted to upload first, so sorry that my important video had to come first. My bad. Anyways, let's move on to what actually happened at the box office. Number 1 was, of course, A Quiet Place, but it actually made a bigger splash than I think anyone was really anticipating. It made $50 million this weekend, and on the worldwide chart, it is already sitting at $71 million. Now, the budget is $17 million, so doubling that 34, it's already gotten $16 million over its doubling point, so A Quiet Place is a success, and rightfully so. If you saw my review, you know how much I love this film, but I'm really just more so surprised that it made this much, because I know that there's a lot of great buzz behind this movie, but originally the movie was tracking for like a $30 million opening, but now we have it at $50 million, which is great, honestly, for this film. I'm so happy for John Krasinski, because he made a true great horror film right here. Moving on to number 2, we have Ready Player One, making $24 million, adding to a domestic total of $96 million. Now, domestically, it still has a lot more money to make. It's about to cross over $100 million, but worldwide, it is already sitting at $393 million, $43 million over its doubling point of $350 million. So Ready Player One is technically now a success, and it's looking like it's going to make a lot more money domestically and also, especially worldwide. And I'm very happy for this film, because even though I didn't think it was flawless, it is definitely a very entertaining ride, and I'm wondering how much people are actually going back to see this film for a second time, to see how much more Easter eggs are popping up that could be a big contributing factor to why this movie is doing so well. Moving on to number 3, we have Blockers, making $20 million this weekend, $1 million shy of making its total production budget back, its budget being $21 million. On the worldwide chart, it is already sitting at $31 million, so it will probably get its doubling point in next week. I think it'll do that very well. This movie has gotten a lot of great praise, like surprising great praise. Anyone who's seen the trailer might have thought, oh, typical kind of R-rated comedy, have a wrestler acting now, but now it looks like this movie is actually a surprise hit, kind of similar to Game Night a couple months back, which, hey, I'm all for that. I haven't seen Blockers yet, but if this movie is actually good, then of course I'm going to be supportive of its financial gain here. Moving on to number 4, we have Black Panther, making $8.7 million, adding to a domestic total of $665 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $1.3 billion. It has already passed Titanic for domestic gross, and now it needs to get to Avatar and, of course, Star Wars The Force Awakens for the domestic total gross. I'm not sure if it'll get there, though, because it is starting to die down a bit. I don't think it's going to get past $700 million domestically, but the fact that it's now in the top 3 of top domestic grosses, that is awesome for this film. Moving on to number 5, we have Acrimony, making $8.3 million, adding to a domestic total of $31 million, and the budget is still stated to be at $20 million, and it needs $9 million more domestically to get there. I think it will be able to. Like, I don't really see it having a big drop next week to where it can't get $40 million in total domestically, and I think worldwide maybe we'll be able to bump it up just a little bit. We'll wait and see on that one. Moving on to number 6, we have I Can Only Imagine, making $7 million, adding to a domestic total of $68 million, and of course, as I've already stated last time and the time before, the movie's budget is considerably low at $7 million, so of course this is just a great big hit. Like, if it made $2 million more this weekend, it would have been like 10 times its original production budget, so congrats, I Can Only Imagine. Moving on to number 7, which is Chappaquiddick, which is a film that I knew was coming out, but I didn't think would make a top 5 attempt, which was obvious here because it opened at number 7, making $5.7 million on a budget of, I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really been able to find it anywhere, and it doesn't really have a worldwide total yet. And of course, this is the kind of film that kind of warrants like a kind of lower opening. It's not going to be that film that draws in a large crowd, and I'm not even sure how many people are really aware of this film, but At least they got $5.7 million worth of people in the theater. Number 8, we have Sherlock Gnomes, making $5.4 million, adding to a domestic total of only $33 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $42 million. Oh, Sherlock Gnomes, it's $17 million away from getting its initial production budget, but it still had to make about $118 million to be considered a success, and that is like, $76 million away from doing that. There's just no way that this film is gonna get there, you know? If they had plans to make a third Romeo and Juliet movie, it's probably not gonna happen. Moving on to number 9, we have Pacific Rim Uprising, making $4.8 million, adding to a domestic total of $54 million, and on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $266 million. Now, I think this movie's actually going to leave next weekend, because there are some new films that'll push this out, I'm wondering if out of the top 10 worldwide, will it be able to get to 300 million? I'm not sure if there are any other locations for it to open yet, because it kind of does need to get to $300 million if they want to consider this a success. Maybe there is one other place that it needs to open, or maybe not. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the death of the Pacific Rim franchise they wanted to do. If you know my thoughts on this movie, then hopefully so. And finally, number 10, Isle of Dogs, which I actually did see. I'm a little busy at the moment, so I'm not sure when the review is coming out, but I'm so happy that this film cracked the top 10, and it's actually going wide in like wider theaters next weekend, so that's pretty cool, making $4.5 million, adding to a domestic total of $12 million. I'm not sure what the budget is, but on the worldwide chart, it is sitting at $17 million right now. So maybe that's good, maybe it's bad, not sure yet until they release a budget. I'm thinking maybe around $50 million for a budget if I had to guess. Hopefully its wide release next week can help. But now it's time for the fun part, the predictions for next week's top 5. I'm going to go number 1, Rampage. Number 2, A Quiet Place. Number 3, Truth or Dare. Number 4, Ready Player One. And number 5, Blockers. But what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave it in the comments below. And if you got your predictions right for this week, you're going to get a shout out right now. Unless you didn't get it right, then I'm sorry. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.